Good morning everyone, and welcome to the webinar on how to make your message stick. And this is really about when you're presenting, training, running a seminar and you've got information to convey, how do you make sure that it has the impact you want? And we call these sticky messages, influential messages, messages that have impact. So with the half hour I've got with you, I want to give you a range of ideas that you can weave into basically every presentation, and probably even into a sales pitch or a meeting where you're putting forward an alternative viewpoint and you want people to jump on board. So why should I follow your idea? Few new names on the webinar, so let me quickly run through how to participate. Please take notes, ask questions as we go, ask questions during the presentation, ask questions after the presentation via email. Most important thing is the application. How could you use this to your next presentation, or how might have you used this in a previous presentation to have greater impact, to be more influential and persuasive? I am going to record this webinar. I am recording this webinar, and feel free to ask for a copy if you need to, and I'm quite happy to do that. So if I speak too fast or we move over a topic fairly quickly and you want to review it, the recording will be available. Let me ask you a question. Do you want people to walk out of your presentation remembering what you've said, remembering your core message, being clear in their mind what you're asking them to do? One of the problems with public speaking is that people speak, and sometimes they're very eloquent speakers, and the audience then leaves and nothing happens or nothing changes. So unless you are the entertainer, the comedian, generally we get before an audience for a reason, and we want an outcome, we want a change. We want the audience to do something, to remember what that message is. For us or our organisation or our philosophy to become front of mind when they have that problem, that issue, that concern, wherever they go into their lives, into their workplaces. So the answer to this is, of course, yes, you do want people to remember what you've said. It's about the persuasion, the influence, it's about the sticky messages. Much of the stuff I'm going to talk about comes from a book, a best-selling business book from Chip and Dan Heath, two brothers working at different universities. Why do some ideas, some marketing campaigns really stick and we can remember them later? And why do some messages just disappear and die? And the concept they talk about is putting hooks into your messages. And I've got a photo micrograph of Velcro, and the loops, which is the top half of the slide, the loops are fairly standard. It's the hooks down the bottom that determine the strength or the stickiness of the Velcro. So I just use this metaphor. When you craft your next presentation, your next sales pitch, your next change management idea that you want to put forward to a meeting or a group of people, what are the hooks you're going to put in that message to make people walk away with it embedded in their mind, embedded in their brain? So that's the concept of putting hooks in your message. I'm going to share with you 6 strategies for increasing the stickiness or putting more hooks in your message. First one is, what's in it for me? Sometimes referred to the radio station, WIIFM. What's in it for me as an audience member? As I'm sitting in your seminar room listening to you, what problem are you solving for me? What issue are you helping me resolve? They say that alleviating pain is a stronger motivator than creating pleasure. So one of the things I ask people to do when you put forward a new idea or when you're speaking or presenting, what headache are you the paracetamol for? What headache are you removing for the people in that room? And if you can remove pain, then people will buy your message. They'll say to you, wow, I wish I knew that earlier. I can see light at the end of the tunnel. I now see my way through this situation that I'm in. So what's in it for me? Alternatively, if you're not alleviating pain, but you're creating pleasure, what is it that you're creating for me? Are you helping me meet my key performance indicators? Are you helping me achieve my dreams, my goals, my aspiration? So one of the ways we do this is to walk in your audience's footsteps. There's that native North American Indian saying, you need to walk 30 moons in your enemy's moccasins. So it's about getting into people's footsteps and working out what their issues are, what their concerns, and how does your message help them solve that problem. And this is really marketing 101. And please do understand, when you speak and when you put forward an idea or you're talking about change, you are indeed marketing. And what it is, you're moving away from push marketing, and I don't know whether this little boy's pushing or pulling his sister. Push marketing is when you need to do this. These are the 5 steps to solve. These are the 5 steps to get rich. You need to eat 5 veg and 2 fruit every day. This is telling us what to do. It's push marketing. Pull marketing is when you don't sell anything. You don't push anything, but people say, wow, give me some of that. I need some of that. An example is in the mining sector, health and safety training. Everybody has to have health and safety training. It's a 1-day induction, and then every 12 months you go through a refresher. Health and safety is very important to Rio Tinto, BHP, Chevron, and all the miners. So you could be running a health and safety seminar. People are in the room and you could just tell them what they've got to do, the safety procedures, and you could push the information on them. That's called push marketing. And you have the legislative weight behind you to push that marketing, I do understand. But let's try it another way. Let's try it another way. And this would be more of a pull marketing. It's about alleviating some pain. And I'm now your health and safety trainer. Thank you everyone for coming today. The sole purpose of today's workshop is to make sure that you go home every night safe and sound to your family, to your loved ones, to those people who depend upon you. That's all I want to talk about today. Making sure you go home fit and sound so you can tell your partner you love them, so you can be present for those people who need you. Now I need to talk about hard hat, steel cap boots, policies, procedures, lots of boring stuff, but please understand, all I want for you is to go home every night safe and sound. What's in it for you? To go home safe and sound. So it's just flipping it. How can you take your message? You know it's a good idea, you're putting a new policy forward, but why? And not to make more money for your company, not to save time for your company, because as an employee, that doesn't give me anything but what's in it for me. Personal one for me is that as a small business owner, I hate doing my BAS statement, my business activity statement. And for the first 6 years of business, I purchased MYOB, Mind Your Own Business or Manage Your Own Business. $260, had this software on my computer, and every 3 months I'd lock myself away for 3 days. So this is a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and enter manually all my data and finally submit my BAS, generally late. It was like pulling teeth without anesthesia. Then one day I went to a seminar and someone told me about Xero in the cloud accounting software, and your BAS statement will go from 3 days to 3 hours. Did he have to sell that to me? Did he have to push it to me? No, he removed so much pain and discomfort. He took away one of the banes of my business. Now, Xero costs me $50 a month. So it's way, way more expensive than the $260 that I had, and I owned the software. But he didn't have to sell it to me. Put your message in a way so that people say, wow, give me some of that. I need it. That's going to help me in my journey, help me overcome my problem, help me meet my key performance indicators. That's what's in it for me. That's hook number one. Hook number two, have one big idea. This is the clarity of your message. Not 5 messages, not 3 messages. A lot of speakers do what's called the scattergun approach. They say lots of stuff hoping some of it will stick. The reality is everyone's going to walk out and they'll probably remember 1 or 2 things from what you said. So make sure that they remember the one thing that you want them to. And I kind of couch it like this. So Vicky, if I'm in Melbourne or Victoria and I hear you speak and 3 months later I bump into you in the Burke Street Mall and I come running up to you and I say, Vicky, I loved your presentation 3 months ago. What one thing do you want me to say? What one thing do you want me to remember? Make sure I say that thing you want me to. And it's about that clarity of purpose. If I was to say to you Nike, so this is Nike shoes. They've got the big tick, that's the logo. What's Nike's one big idea? Would anyone like to type it in? If I say to you Nike, what is the slogan, the one big idea that people associate with Nike? Just do it, just do it, just do it. Thank you, just do it. So in other words, after you've spoken for an hour, I want people to walk out and just say whatever it is you want them to say, to remember what is the key call to action. Another one I use sometimes in my workshops is not happy Jan. Now this hasn't been around for 10 years, not happy Jan. It's kind of woven into the vernacular of the Australian language, not happy Jan. Yellow pages, that advert, that classic advert that we remember. Barack Obama is about to end his 2nd term as President of the United States. 8 years ago, he spoke for 45 minutes to the people of America on his election night, his first election night. And within that 45 minutes, he kept saying the one thing, and that was, yes, we can. It was the global financial crisis, banks were crumbling, and he said, but this is the United States of America, and yes, we can come through it. What is your one big idea? That one, if we only remember one thing, what do you want that to be? You can do the scattergun approach. And I might say to you after you've spoken about water conservation, yeah, we need to save more water. And then the next person might say, no, 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 we need to identify new sources of water. And the third person might say, no, 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 no. What we need to do is we need to recycle water. So that would indicate that 3 different people have walked away with 3 different messages. So don't let people interpret what you're saying. Make sure you make that one big idea stick. Just do it. Have a call to action. Ask them to do something. And you can do this throughout your presentation, and also it's good to have towards the end. One of the things that people do is they just stop speaking. So thanks very much. You've been a really nice crowd. I've really enjoyed my time here in Brisbane speaking to you. Please have a nice day, and some of you have travelled a long way. So be safe on your way home. Thank you. And it's not really a call to action. So if you only do one thing today, I want you to go back to your workplace and implement this new health and safety policy that we've been discussing and rolling out over the last 3 months. Go back to your workplace and implement this new health and safety policy immediately. What's your call to action? What do you want people to do? Do you want them to write a letter to the Minister for Disability Services, to the Minister for Health? Do you want them to lobby their local government about lack of tram access for people in wheelchairs and disabilities? You know, what is it you want people to do after you've spoken? It's called a call to action. So that's hook number 3. So I'm just going to pause for a moment. Are there any questions? These are the hooks. The next one is surprise. Give an unexpected message if you want people to remember what you've said. You can use an unexpected statistic, something that people were not expecting that surprises them. And the way I look at this is kind of like you appeal to their guessing machine. Yep, you appeal to what they think is normal. Excuse my writing here. And what you do is you then shatter it. So they think that's normal. Yep. Then you shatter that normality and you build the new paradigm. The new paradigm. And that's surprise, unexpected. And people will remember that more so than just telling them the new paradigm what you want to happen. So let me give you an example. I want you all to fast forward your lives, and we're all now 65 years old. For some of us like me, that's a little bit closer than I really like, but as we fast forward, we're all 65 years old. We're retired and we're living the dream lifestyle, your dream retirement. You've got all the time in the world. Money's not an object. What are you doing in your retirement years? Are you traveling around Australia with your beautiful caravan and four-wheel drive, following the sun, avoiding those cold winters? Are you traveling overseas once a year to one of those romantic cities, Prague, Vienna, Paris, Rome? Are you helping your children or your grandchildren get into their first home or their first business? Just enjoy that retirement visualization. You've earned it, you've worked hard, you know you deserve this. All right, a few people have just joined us. If I can have you all back with me, your attention please. 90% of Australians fail to retire with an income and a lifestyle that they hope to achieve. So people on this webinar, I do apologise, but 9 out of 10 of you, wherever you were thinking, whatever you were planning with your retirement, you will not achieve it. Good morning everyone, my name is Peter Dew and I'm a financial planner, and I'm going to show you how to achieve your financial dreams, your retirement dreams. You've worked hard, you deserve it. Now, please, just a disclaimer, I'm not a financial planner and this is not financial advice. All I'm saying is paint a paradigm that people think is normal, then shatter it and then build the new paradigm. People will remember that. Let me go back the other way. We're now 18 years of of age. And for me, and for most people I speak to, the first 18 years of our life was pretty stress-free. If you had a fairly hard, if you had a hard early start to your life, I do apologise, but for most of us, the first 18 years were really quite stress-free. I grew up on a farm in Denmark in the southwest of West Australia. I used to play cricket, used to play football, helped my father on the farm, had my first job when I was 14, got paid $4 an hour, got my first car when I was 17, had my first girlfriend when I was 18, really stress-free life. So just enjoy that health, that ability to run on the cricket pitch, the football field, the netball court. Parents took care of everything for me, nothing to worry about. Just enjoy that. I'm now going to take that 18 years away from you. I'm going to expunge the first 18 years of your life from your very existence. The average life expectancy of Aboriginal men versus white Australian men is 18 years less. On average, Aboriginal men live 18 years less than white Australian men. And I think this is one of those real crimes. It's a shame. It's just not right. Just because some children get born of one family versus another family, your life expectancy is 18 years less. Good morning, everyone. I'm from the Health Department of WA, and I want to talk to you about some strategies for bridging the gap. So it's just a way of making that surprise the paradigm. Surprise them. 90% of Australians don't reach their retirement goals. Life expectancy of Aboriginal men, 18 years less than white Australian men. The appealing to your normal, what you think is normal, and then shattering it is one way of putting a hook, making that message stick. So the next strategy is make your messages concrete. This is really good for data and statistics, and it helps make the complicated memorable. So I'm going to use a little bit of health data for you. Let's say you're a health practitioner, a health educator, and you're talking about heart health, so cardiac health. In fact, these examples come from the Heart Foundation of Australia. So I want you to remember that the human heart, which sits bang in the middle of your chest, slightly to the left, in an average human lifespan pumps 450 million litres of blood. So this is my core message about heart health. The average human heart pumps 450 million litres of blood. My seminar finishes, you all walk out. How many of you are going to remember that 450 million litres of blood in 3 months' time, in 6 months' time? So let me make it a little bit more concrete for you. The average human heart pumps 450 million litres of blood. So go home tonight, turn on your kitchen tap, full bore, and leave it running for 45 years. Go home, turn on your tap, leave it running full bore for 45 years. That's how much blood your human heart pumps. Or when I work with the mining sector, Chevron, oil and gas, 450 million litres of blood, that is enough, that the human heart pumps is enough to fill 3 super tankers, 3 of the world's biggest super tankers full of oil. The Heart Foundation talks about skipping rope that they hand out to schools around Australia, and it's some obscene amount of kilometres, 276,000 kilometres of rope. I've just made that number up. What I do remember is it stretches from Sydney to Hawaii and back 4 times. All I'm saying is make your data concrete if you want people to remember it. In saving water, and you go into some of the big buildings in Perth and they've got water saving measures, And this water-saving measure has saved 26 Olympic swimming pools of water per year. And this is the Brookfield building, which BHP occupies in Perth. Their water-saving devices and strategies saves on average 26 Olympic swimming pools full of fresh drinking water per year. Make your message concrete. Don't just give numbers, statistics, data. If it's important and you want people to remember, make it a little bit concrete. Credibility. Where does your credibility come from? If you don't have credibility, especially when you're talking about new ideas, change, or putting in an alternative viewpoint, what gives you the credibility to bring this message? Without credibility, no matter how sticky, how memorable your message is, you may not have impact, and the audience may leave out and say, well, that was nice, that was interesting, and nothing changes. You've probably heard of a young West Australian medical scientist in the 1980s. Not me, I was a young West Australian medical scientist in the 1980s, but not me, who discovered what caused peptic ulcers, ulcers of the gut, and he also worked out what could cure them. And I'm not sure if you're aware, but at the time, hundreds of thousands of people died around the world from peptic ulcers. And he worked out what cured them, what caused them and how to cure them. So he went around the world knocking on doors around Australia, around the world saying, hey guys, I know what causes peptic ulcers and how to cure them. And everyone said, this young West Australian scientist must be crazy. Everybody knows peptic ulcers are caused from stress, bad diet. Everybody knows the gut is full of hydrochloric acid. And his hypothesis or his statement was that a bacteria causes peptic ulcers, a bacteria called Helicobacter pylori. Now, for 8 years, he banged his head against the wall of researchers, of drug companies around the world. Nobody believed him. Where does he come from? Does he come from Harvard? No. Does he come from King's College in London? No. Does he come from University of Sydney School of Medicine? No. He comes from a little place called Fremantle. 8 years, no response, no credibility, no one believes him. And of course, as you know, each of those years, several 100,000 people lose their lives from peptic ulcers, from bleeding out. So finally, in desperation, he went to his laboratory, and overnight he grew up 1 billion Helicobacter pylori in an incubator and in a beaker. He counted them, enumerated them, and then he drank the entire contents. He drank 1 billion Helicobacter pylori. He did endoscopies prior, during, and after this research. 3 days after ingesting the Helicobacter, 3 days after ingesting the Helicobacter pylori, he developed severe peptic ulcers. So severe he had to take morphine. He got his colleagues to do endoscopy, biopsies. 3 days later, he treated himself with antibiotics that worked in mice and rats. The peptic ulcers resolved. He now went to the world and said, see, I know what causes peptic ulcers. Professor Barry Marshall, Nobel Prize winner for medicine. Doesn't matter how right you are, how correct, unless you have credibility, you won't have impact. The good news is credibility doesn't come from one thing. It's called your credibility stack. So it's your experience. It's who you work for. Where does your data come from? National Health and Medical Research Council, Australian Bureau of Statistics, World Health Organization. Have you published in journals? Borrow some credibility. Maybe the Canadians are doing something innovative in social housing, in public transport. So your credibility comes from layers of things. There's your 6 hooks. What's in it for me? One big message, call to action, unexpected messages, so you surprise, Make your data concrete, use credibility. Every time you script, prepare, present, try and put at least one hook into your message. Which hook can you put into your next message? Whole host of workshops due through February, March, Melbourne, Adelaide, Brisbane, Karratha, Bunbury. If you know of anyone who's interested in workshops, please let us know. The full list, and I can't spend much time on this, the full list of my workshops is on my website, www.peterdew.com/events. Send me an email. And the next webinar, could your body language be sabotaging your message? And for those of you who are on early, I briefly mentioned that even with a sticky message, really influential, if your body language is not congruent, then people won't buy your message. And there'll be more webinars in March. So my call to action to you is every time you present, try and put a hook into your message. What's in it for me? What problem are you solving for me? What is your one big, without a doubt message? Just do it, like Nike. Ask me to do something. Use surprise. Give me some data I can remember. And please make sure you have credibility, some sort of license for that particular message.